Hi, welcome back to On the Volley, or as we're otherwise known, OTV. My name's Matt. I'm here tonight to talk about a little bit about the Premier League, but mainly it's Manchester Derby weekend. I'm here to talk about the Derby. I've been a Man City fan all my life, so this is a big game for me. Growing up in and around Manchester all my life, many times I've had to suffer a derby back in the dark days of Manchester City. These days, results have been mixed, to be honest. Not as one-sided as we would have hoped, I guess, on the blue side of Manchester. But you know, we're definitely in the ascendancy at the moment in terms of league position, in terms of where we are, and the gap between the two teams does seem a massive gulf. I saw this week that Manchester United was 7-1 to win this game, which is an unbelievable odds on Manchester United to win a game of football in the Premier League era. But they are going to City, who have been in great form. Now, I've seen tonight that Ruben Diaz is out now for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury, which is a massive loss for City. I mean, he's been our rock in defence. If we compare that to kind of like Liverpool losing Van Dijk last season, we saw the change that made to their results. Ruben Diaz is our Van Dijk, if you like. You know, I think they're comparable players. Certainly our leader in defence, and obviously one of our better defenders as well. I don't think City are about one player, though. I certainly would like to say that. I really think we should still win that game on the merit of the other players. You know, we're not just about Ruben Diaz. Certainly, a lot of City's potency is in attack, although our defence does usually back that up as well. It's a loss, and it looks like he may be out also for the FA Cup game against Southampton. That's away at Southampton, and also potentially the game at home against Liverpool, which might have some bearing on our ability to win the Premier League. I hope not. As I say, I don't think we're all about one player. I think we've got enough in depth. I know Arke's out as well. He fell pretty awkwardly actually in the game against Peterborough. Both of these players injured in the midweek game against Peterborough, which kind of says I don't understand why Stones didn't play and Laporte playing together rather than Diaz fitting in there for what really should have been quite an easy win. But yeah, we've ended up with 2 injuries. Our number 1 choice in defence won the other end of that in our number 4 choice. It's going to be a challenge here to get through, but you know, I think Guardiola said it right. You know, you get injuries in the season, you have to work with them. We lost De Bruyne last season, I think, for months and months on end. Still managed to win the league. It's tied to this year. That is the difference, and these are the margins that may influence how it turns out at the end of the season. It's 4 to 6 weeks. Let's see. Let's hope he gets back in 4. He's a young lad. Maybe his recovery time will be a bit better. But going on to the actual game, if you look at it on paper at the moment, City should win this game. They should win this game. But this has not been the way that derbies have been going recently. It's been a bit of a weird one recently. The away team has won more derbies recently than the home team. And that's both, you know, Manchester United and Manchester City. They've won more away than they have at home. I'm hoping that was kind of a bit of a Solskjaer effect. And that's what I'm putting my hopes on here, I guess. That, you know, the fact that an old Man United player, a Man United legend, let's face it, could rile that dressing room up a little bit better than somebody who never played in a Manchester derby in terms of Guardiola. And on Sunday, hopefully it will come down to which is the best team. And in my opinion, that is still Man City. I think our league position certainly backs that up. I think the fact that Manchester United aren't playing that well. Okay, we've had a little bit of a wobble, you know, losing to Tottenham, drawing at Southampton, but you know, we won 12 games on the run before that. I honestly think City are the better team, and I really hope we can win that, and I really hope we can win it comfortably and put all these doubters to rest, because there is a little doubt creeps in when you have a few bad results. I think the doubt gets in there. You know, we've been, you know, anyone who's been a City fan for a long time know we had a habit in the past of snapping defeat from the jaws of victory. You know, even if you look back to the win in 2012, you know, nearly messed it up against QPR. Only a brilliance in injury time basically got us that win. And but I think we have moved on since then. We have moved on a lot since then. But then again, the Champions League final last year, where we were massive favourites, we lost. Yes, there's always that doubt as a City fan. There's always that doubt, as there is any football fan, as there always should be, if you like. Because let's face it, football's not football unless there's jeopardy, and that's what I would like to say. If we're not nervous about a derby, there's no point in calling it a derby, because we have to be nervous about it. We have to expect the worst, but then we hope for the best, and that's all I'm going to say on the Man United derby. I honestly hope we win it. Let's do it, boys. Let's do it, and let's keep those Scousers at bay. So going on to the other fixtures in the Premier League this weekend. Now, I'm only really going to talk about one or two here, but the first one I'm going to talk about is obviously City's closest rivals, and that is Liverpool. Without a doubt, they are knocking on the door. I did say earlier on, when City, everyone was saying City had won all these games and they were 12 points clear, and we drew one game against Southampton, and everyone was saying, oh, well, the title race is back on. He was like, well, what's the difference between one game? You drop 2 points and all of a sudden the title's over. Drop 2 points, the title race is wide open. I mean, that is why you don't say the title race is over, because if it's back on when you do that, then you should know that as a pundit it's going to happen at some point on the run-in, unless City were going to win all the games on the way to the end of the season. Don't even start on that. That's my opinion. Was always, we're no more nervous now than we were then. I think we always knew Liverpool were going to get a run together. We always knew that we were going to maybe drop some points at some point. This is what title race is about, and absolutely, I back City in this. To be honest, I think we're going to do it. I still think we're going to do it, despite Diaz's injury. Going on to the Liverpool-West Ham game. Now, West Ham did beat Liverpool down at the London Stadium. I don't see lightning striking twice here. I really don't. As good as West Ham have been this season, they're going to Anfield, and Liverpool are on a massive high at the moment. They're going strong. I don't see it being West Ham taking any points off them. So I'm going to say that game's definitely Liverpool's. I put that in my bets if you watch our betting forum twice, actually. I was that confident that they are going to do it. There's not really anyone else in that title race for me. The race now is for third, fourth. Chelsea in there. Chelsea, obviously, say a little bit on the fact that Roman Abramovich is actually selling Chelsea. That's upset a little bit maybe the players. They don't know their future. Obviously, they were brought in on the promise of the era continuing. Obviously, that's because of what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment. Roman Abramovich doesn't feel, I guess, very safe in London. And maybe that right or wrongly, we're not here to make political points on that, and nor should we do. We talk about football. Everyone's had enough of talking politics. So then we're going to really go on to the games down at the bottom of the table. One of which does involve Chelsea. Burnley, who drew at Stamford Bridge early on the season. Burnley have had a bit of good form recently. They've dropped a few points as well, and they lost to Leicester. But they're giving themselves every chance of getting out of that relegation battle. There's a part of me that wants Burnley to do it. I think it's because they're from North Manchester, North Manchester area, should I say, that I want them to do it. And also Ben Mee being their captain, who actually, I remember his first game at City. Yes, I do want them to do it. I want them to do it. I don't think it's going to be Newcastle going to replace them anymore, because they've done very well recently. Few bucks spent in the January transfer window. I think they've had an exceptional start to 2022 and really got themselves out of it. They're playing Brighton at home, who've had a bit of a dip, to be honest. So they've got every chance of winning that game as well. And I think then they're pretty much shot of this. The teams that are dragging themselves into the relegation battle are Leeds and Everton. And Leeds and Everton have had terrible runs of form. Everton obviously sacked Benitez a fair few games ago, actually. And Leeds obviously sacking Bielsa last week. Is sacking your manager going to change your look? I'm not sure in the case of Leeds. I think Lampard's probably getting them to play some decent football. We saw that in the game against City last week, of which there was this controversial penalty decision or non-penalty decision towards the end of the game. I think it was in the 85th minute. Now, as Man City fans, most people would say, the referee's given a decision, and VAR then has to say that referee has made a clear and obvious error. And now, the laws of the game at the moment are very strange. I remember I was talking in the north of Italy with a guy up there who was actually a referee. He was Serie B referee. And he was telling me this new rule's coming in, that here to here was no longer going to be handball. And I was saying, but that's ridiculous, because the line was here, now you just moved it down to here. The distinction between that line and that line is going to be the same. If the ball hits you just below it or just below there, it's going to be the same. There's always going to be controversy. No matter where you put that line on the arm, there's going to be controversy. And I think, personally, last season's rule was probably better. If it hits this part of the arm, it should be given as handball. And I feel for Everton fans, because last season that would definitely have been given handball. But the rules did change. The referee didn't give it at the time. Chris Kavanagh, I believe it was. But then VAR have to look at it and say, is it a clear and obvious error? Has it hit below this new line that's been drawn? And the frame rate they take these videos at, they take the TV footage at, isn't clear enough to make the distinction between where it makes contact with his arm first. Now, if it's hit his arm and then rolls down his arm, and it doesn't hit his forearm, it's not handball. Very technical things that we're talking about. And if we're talking about technical things like that on VAR decisions, then really, football's losing its soul a little bit. I kind of wanted VAR at one point, and then saw it implemented, and I thought, and seeing goals cancelled after the fans go mad so many times, I just don't like it. I think it actually doesn't add to the game at all. I think it takes away from the game, and it's actually not improved that much, the refereeing decisions. All right, for an obvious offside, maybe. A really obvious, blatant offside, but when you're measuring people by toes, armpits, shirt sleeves, let's get rid of it. No one's enjoying this. No one's enjoying it. The decisions are too controversial, and when they're made, and maybe made in error, in correcting them as well, which is what most people think has happened in this case. There's not been a correction that should have been made. It causes even more anger than the original decision, when you can say, well, basically the referee had a poor line of sight. For me, get rid of it. It's had its run, and I know it's here to stay, but I just don't want it. I just don't want it anymore. I think I'm in agreement with Danny Murphy on that, which I'm not usually on agreement with. That's basically all I've got to say on this weekend's fixtures. I know Norwich are still fighting for their lives. I know Watford are still fighting for their lives. I know Watford are playing Arsenal actually at home, and I actually backed that for a draw. But a draw is not going to be enough for Watford at this point in the season, because I think the teams around them are going to start getting their act together very quickly. Roy Hodgson's done a very good job turning that around at Watford, actually, because under Ranieri they were looking like they were going to concede a lot every single game. He's solidified that defence. He's made them competitive. Is that going to be enough? I just think they've lost their confidence. I think they've lost their confidence, and I think they're not really fighting at the level they need to be. We're getting to the point at the end of the season. Let's see. Myself and Keeper are going to do a video sometime next week about all this, about the relegation battle, about the title race. So look out for that. But for me, Matt, as far as this weekend's come on City, that's me, Matt, out.